Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back for another video. If you are new and you're watching for the first time, welcome. My name is Nasheia Michelle Conway, and by day I am a family law attorney. By night I am a life coach, a teacher, a motivational speaker, a minister. Don't do too well with titles. I just know that the Lord has called me to use all of my skills, talents, experience, wisdom, and gifts, all to advance his kingdom here on earth. And I do that by helping people, those specifically who've been through troubled relationships, whether that's through childhood or date relationships or marriages, to pick up the pieces and help them to rebuild and get back on their road to destiny. Okay, and so in this video was requested by a viewer, by a supporter, and so this video is just for you. Hopefully you see this video. In this video, I'm going to let you all know 5 things, actually 6, so I have a bonus. 5 things that you do not want to overlook when you are drafting a parenting agreement, specifically with a narcissist, okay? With a narcissist. Many of you have been in very just traumatic relationships, okay? Maybe you were married to a narcissist or you dated a narcissist and now you find yourself having to co-parent with a narcissist and you need to have a parenting plan. Now, the first thing I will say before I say anything else, when you are dealing with a narcissist, when you are co-parenting with a narcissist, you need to make sure that parenting plan is as detailed and as thorough as possible, okay? As detailed and as thorough as possible in order to minimize future potential conflicts and minimize the communication you need to have. Because one thing that you don't want to happen is when you have to co-parent with a narcissist, you don't want to talk to them unless you absolutely have to, okay? Because it's draining, okay? Hit the like button if you know what I'm talking about. It is draining. It is emotionally draining, okay? It's draining. By the time you get done dealing with them, you got to go take a nap for about 5 hours, okay? So hit that like button because you know I'm not making this up. You know I know what I'm talking about. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to give you all 5 things that I believe that sometimes people overlook when they're drafting their parenting agreements. And these are things that you definitely want to include. If you have not already, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Join the community. Be a part of the community over here. It is my goal, it is my desire to develop genuine, authentic community of people who can help one another while they're on their road to destiny, people who love God, people who want to allow the Lord to heal them, those who want to pursue the Lord, those who want to pursue their God-given destiny. And they just want to have help. They want to do life with other people who are on similar journeys, okay? So go ahead and hit the subscribe button. All right, now with that being said, let me go ahead and get into these tips, y'all, because hey, I'm a mama and that's the duty is calling. The duty is calling, okay? So I can't stay for too long, but let me go ahead and get straight to the point. All right, so number one, communication. You want to make sure that you have language in your parenting agreement that will specify how you and the other party are to communicate, okay? And so I'm looking at my phone. Yes, I have my notes here because you all know I will go off on tangents if I don't have my little outline. So yes, I am looking down at my phone. So communication is point number 1. So when I talk about communication, you want to think about a few things. You want to think about the method of communication. Are you going to communicate via email? Are you going to communicate via text message? Are you going to communicate via a co-parenting app? Our Family Wizard is a popular one, but they also have other co-parenting apps as well. My recommendation will be, if you are co-parenting with a narcissist, you need to make sure that your method of communication is in writing, okay? All that telephone, FaceTime, no, in writing. Email, preferably, I would say email. Text messages, you don't want text messages coming through your phone all day, okay? Email, okay? But some people do have their email linked to their phone. So, hey, it's up to you, but I would say written for sure. So you want to think about the method. You also want to think about the frequency. How often do you want to have to communicate with your co-parent? Are you going to communicate with them once a week? Are the two of you going to agree, hey, every Monday we'll send an email and it will have all of the updates. It'll have all the concerns. It'll have all the upcoming events. That'll be our frequency. We will communicate once a week via email, okay? Number 3, but something else you want to think about, okay? You want to think about response times. How long of a response time do you want to have? So say, for example, you receive an email at 1 p.m. You can agree in advance what that response time is going to be. The two of you both agree that the response time will be 24 hours, 48 hours, absent emergencies, of course, right? If it's an emergency, you can't wait 48 hours. But we're talking about for non-emergency things. And I know you may be thinking, well, how do we determine what's an emergency, what's not an emergency? I can't really define that right now because, there's so many variables that can play into that. But let's just say for any non-emergency things, nothing that's life-threatening where you have to act now or, it'll be some irrevocable. I couldn't get that word out. Irrevocable damage. Okay. So that all falls under communication with the co-parents. Okay. Second thing you want to think about, you want to consider is, how do you plan to communicate with your child? Specifically, how do you plan to communicate with your child while they are with the co-parent? Okay, so this is really important. This is a big issue. This comes up a lot in my practice. This is huge. So you want to make sure that you spend some time to think about what is the agreement. Y'all, I cannot talk tonight. What is going on? It's been a long day at work, okay? You want to think about to agree in advance what the communication is going to be like with the child when the child is with the other parent. Okay, so again, same thing, method. Okay, are you going to do phone calls? You do FaceTime calls, right? You want to think about that. The time frame. Will the two of you agree on a time frame? Will the calls be before going to bed? Will they be in the morning? Do you agree that it shouldn't have to be a specific time? Whenever the child wants to talk to the other parent, that's fine. Will the parent initiate the call? Will the call take place on the child's cell phone, or maybe the child may be too young to have their own cell phone? So what phone are you going to use? Are you going to use the other parent's phone? Some parents, I have had a case before where the parent's like, no, I don't want them using my phone. I'll buy a house phone. Yeah, I know. 2023, people are still buying house phones. Okay, so how are you planning to communicate with your child when your child is with the other parent? Also, will that parent initiate the call? So say, for example, the child is with you. Are you going to put in the agreement that the parent that has the child will be responsible for initiating the call with the other parent? Or is it up to the other parent who wants to speak to the child to initiate the call? That's something you want to think about. What happens when you miss a phone call? Do you agree to return that call within a certain time frame, maybe within 30 minutes? Because you may be out. Child may be out having a good time, having fun. They may not be thinking about wanting to talk to you. No offense. They might just be having a good time. But will the two of you agree that for any missed calls, they'll be returned within 30 minutes, an hour? Something you want to think about. So that all and the last thing I want to mention as it relates to communication with the child is, will the child have unmonitored telephone access? Okay? Listen, hit the like button if you know what I'm talking about. Okay? Let me know if you've ever been frustrated where you're trying to talk to your child and you feel like the other parent is standing right there. They listen to every word. Or the child is too afraid to say how they really feel because they know that the parent is looking at them, okay? You want to discuss that in advance and come to an agreement in advance, okay? And try to get that in that parenting agreement. Number 3. So we're moving along to number 3. So number 1 was communication with the other party, right? Number 2 is communication with the child when the child is with the other party. Number 3, the child's belongings. Oh my gosh, if I had $1 for every phone call I had regarding Miss Conway, they did not bring their belongings back home. I sent clothes over there. I sent just special teddy bear over there and it did not come back. Can you please send an email to the other attorney to let their client know to return my items? Okay, so this is something that you want to think about. As it relates to child's belongings, what is the agreement going to be? Is the agreement going to be that the clothing will remain at the parent's home who bought the clothing item? Okay, is the child free to take items between different homes? What about electronics? What about cell phones? What about iPads? Are you and the other party going to agree that, say, for example, if the child lives with you and the child has a cell phone, is that child allowed to take the cell phone over to the other parent's home? The other parent may not even want the child to have a cell phone. They may say, no, the cell phone can't come to my home. That's something that you want to think about in advance. What about the iPad? What if it's a school-issued laptop and they have to do their homework and then now they're going with the other parents for the weekend or for an overnight? How do you determine which belongings go versus which belongings stay? Something you want to think about in advance. Again, this is something that's overlooked. This is something that you may have not heard somebody mention before, or maybe you've been in a custody action and your attorney didn't bring this up and maybe you have to go for a modification. This is something that you want to consider. This is something that you want to make sure that is addressed as it relates to your custody matter, and it's included in the parenting agreement, okay? So that's the child's belongings, okay? Number 4, moving right along, number 4, exchanges. The exchanges, okay? So when I talk about exchanges, what I mean by that, these are some things you want to consider. Where will the exchanges take place? Will they take place at the school? For a lot of parents who have a lot of high conflict, exchanges at the school works well for them because you don't have to interact with each other. One parent drops the child off, the other parent can pick the child up from school, right? So does it take place at the school? Or the child may not be at an age where they're enrolled in school. Okay, if that's the case, do you agree? Do you and the other person agree to do the exchanges at a neutral location? Maybe you agree to do the exchanges at a fast food place like a Chick-fil-A or something like that, where you can meet, do the exchange, and go about your business, right? Or in some high conflict situations, you have to agree to meet at the police station to avoid any, domestic incident or any assault, anything like that. That's something that you want to take into consideration. Also, something else that you want to make sure you think about in advance and try to get an agreement on in advance. How long will you wait for the parent to show up, right? Meaning for pickup, right? Say, for example, other parents supposed to pick the child up at 7 p.m. How long are you willing to wait? And let's just say that the two of you agreed to meet at the Chick-fil-A. So you get to the Chick-fil-A at 7 o'clock, the other parent's not there. How long will you wait? 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes? Something that you want to discuss in advance and have an agreement on in advance. Also, drop off. Let's say you show up for drop off. Let's say it's time for the child to come back to your custody. And let's say drop off is at 7 p.m. So Friday, pickup is Friday at 7 p.m. Drop off is Sunday at 7 p.m. You get to Chick-fil-A Sunday at 7 p.m. You out there 15, 20, 30 minutes. You don't hear anything from the other party. How long are you willing to wait out there? You want to think about that in advance and what should happen in the event if the parent is late. Think about that. Discuss that. Come to an agreement in advance if you can. Now, for interstate cases, meaning cases where, let's say, the parents, they don't live in the same state, right? That's interstate case. Who's going to pay for the airfare? Let's say the child has to get on an airplane. Maybe the child may be old enough to get an unaccompanied minor flight. Or maybe the parent is going to fly with the child. There's so many variables, right? But the point is that's something you want to think about. It's something that you want to think about in advance and have it addressed in your parenting plan, okay? And maybe you may not be flying to do the exchange. Maybe you will be driving, okay? What is the agreement for that? Are the two of you agreeing to meet halfway to the exchanges, okay? Can you afford to pay for the gas, the maintenance? Do you have a car to do that, right? There's so many things to think about. Also, something else to think about. Will third parties be allowed to assist with the exchanges? Okay, there are a lot of situations where you have third parties, relatives, significant others that assist with the pickup and drop off. Is that something that the two of you will agree is appropriate? Again, that is something to discuss in advance. Let me tell you, especially when it comes to new romantic partners, that's a huge thing. You want to make sure you think about that and you discuss that and try to have that included in your parenting agreement, okay? So that all falls under the category of exchanges. So that's number 4. So just to give you an update of where we at. Number 1 was communication with the other party. Number 2 was communication with the child when the child is with the other party. Number 3 is the child's belongings. 4 is exchanges. Number 5 is the first right of refusal. You want to make sure that you have addressed the concept of or the issue of the first right of refusal. And basically with the first right of refusal, what that means is that in the event if you are not able to care for the child when the child is with you during your custody time, you will allow the other parent to provide care for the child during that time. That does not have to happen, but that's what the first right of refusal, that's what that is. And so the two of you can agree that you will do that in the event if one parent is not able to care for the child. Let's say, for example, maybe the parent who has custody, whose custody time it is, they have a work emergency and they have to go into work, okay? Well, you can agree that if that is to occur, then the parent who has that custody time will agree to contact the other parent to provide care for the child during that time. Or they may say, well, no, I will hire a babysitter. I will have my mom or my dad or my sister to provide care for the child during that time. Again, that's something that you want to think about and to address and get that included in your parenting agreement. Listen, I'm trying to save y'all some headache, okay? Trying to save you some time, trying to save you some headache, okay? Let me tell you, this is good. If this is good, hit the like button, let me know. Hit the like button, let me know, and I'll make more videos giving you all just some insider, because I see a lot. In my practice, I see a lot, and I see things that people wish they would have included in their parenting agreement, and they have to modify it. And so I'm trying to use all of that knowledge to help you all. So if this is helpful, let me know by hitting the like button. All right, so that was number 5, the first right of refusal. Okay, So as a bonus, this is a bonus, number 6. I feel like 5 would be a good number to stop at, but I could not talk about this because this is a huge thing. So number six, introduction of new partners. Tell you, discuss that and try your best to have that addressed in your parenting agreement. Introduction of new partners, okay? What is the agreement going to be? Again, each case is different. So I can't say it needs to be done this way in this method, but hey, that's for you and the other parent to discuss, to try to come up with an agreement, okay? Now, some things you want to think about, however, is one, do you want to offer the other parent the opportunity to meet your new romantic partner first before introducing that person to your child? Do you want to wait a certain period of time before that partner is introduced to your child? Do you want to set up some mutual meeting with your child and the other parent before the introduction is made? That's for the two of you, you and the other parent, to decide, to come up with an agreement, to have that incorporated in your parenting agreement, so that, again, we're trying to reduce the chaos that can come with, let's just be honest, the dissolution of a marriage and trying to figure out custody and trying to figure out co-parenting agreements and parenting plans and all these things. So the more you can think about, the better, specifically if you are co-parenting with a narcissist. And I know I said, and I just realized that a lot of what I said was try to work with the other parent. And unfortunately, when you're co-parenting with a narcissist, you can't really, they won't cooperate much. And that's not all cases though. You would be surprised. I mean, there's some narcissistic co-parents that will actually cooperate, and it may not be because they want to cooperate because you're asking them to cooperate, but it could be for other reasons. Maybe they don't feel like paying for litigation. Maybe they ran out of money, and maybe they're like, look, come on. Or maybe it could be other variables where it's not that they really want to work with you. It's just that they've exhausted all the other options, and so they're like, hey, whatever, let me just pretend that I'm trying to cooperate with you. So I understand that it may not be realistic to communicate with the narcissistic co-parent to try to resolve these issues in advance. And if you can't, that's fine. But even still, even if you have to go to litigation, these are things that you should bring up to your attorney to make sure that these things are addressed. And if you can't agree to them amongst the two of you, then at least have the court make a ruling to have these things included in your parenting plan, right? That will reflect what your wishes are, what you would like the court to order, that you believe to be in the best interest of the child or children, okay? So, and that was number 6. That was a bonus. So, if you like this video, hopefully this video is not too long, y'all, but I just wanted to make sure that I gave you a thorough discussion on this topic, because this is a huge deal. I mean, I had a call just today from a former client who basically was just frustrated that, her co-parent calls her phone 20 times a day, just blowing her phone up, questioning her, asking her where is she going, what is she doing, why is the child left home alone while she's going to the store, and so she's like, Ms. Conway, is there any way we can modify this order to limit the amount of communication between me and this other person, and to just make it possible for these calls to be either text or email. And so she was unaware that there were co-parenting apps that existed. So I talked to her about the co-parenting apps. So, we may be going back to court to file for a modification, right? And so, because there's some other issues at play too, but for purposes of this video, the communication is just, it's a lot. And so with that being said, that's all I have for this video. If you found the video helpful, again, hit the like button. If you want to see more videos like this, if you want to see me do more co-parenting videos, co-parenting with a narcissist, then hit the like button. Let me know, and I will make them, right? Like, I got a request for this one. I'm making it. I might put it up today, actually, if I can get it uploaded in time before it's time to eat dinner. So we'll see. But with that being said, you all be blessed, stay blessed. Same thing, just like to say it twice. And I'll see you all soon in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.